Right. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. And today we are going to do a session focused on reducing stress, because this is a time of lots of activity. We are finishing things, thinking about starting new things. So it's quite a period of transition. So it's nice, I think, to have a session where there's a bit of activity, and as well there are some resting positions. And so we're going to start today with the diaphragmatic breathing, and I sent the video of that to the group. So if you come into a lying down position, we're going to start with that. So lying down, and remember, we're going to start with just to create awareness, just for a minute, putting your hand on your chest, one hand on the chest and one hand on the abdomen. And let's just check in with our breathing, basically, just for a minute. So I will accompany you now with 4 rounds, where we're going to inhale for 5 through the mouth, and then exhale for 5, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. So if you just exhale completely, and then inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if you continue at your own pace, doing at least 4 more rounds. As you inhale, notice your abdomen filling with air, as if you're filling a balloon. And as you exhale, your navel going down, down towards your spinal column. So really bringing in your abdomen and then filling it out again. And when you've finished 4 rounds, just return to your natural breathing. And noticing the effect on your body if you're feeling a little bit more relaxed now. So now slowly open your eyes and let your knees drop to one side and then push yourself into a seated position. So remember, this type of technique we start off by doing it. We start teaching it by encouraging the students to do it lying down, especially with your knees bent. Of course, you can do it seated, but this is a little bit more complicated, so this is why we always start by teaching it lying down. And of course, for example, if you're having problems sleeping, for example, I always find it very relaxing just to start using the abdominal breathing, and it usually helps me to fall asleep pretty quickly. So try it next time you feel like you have a little bit of insomnia or you're tossing and turning a little bit. Okay, so let's move now to the next pose of today, which are going to be the 2 active poses to start off. And so the first one is dangling. So if you come to a standing position, and just to remind you all of the 2 options with the dangling. So the first option, well, actually for both options, bending the legs, bending the knees, and then coming forward. And if you're finding that this is straining for you, you can actually just keep your elbows on your knees like this. This is a first option. And then the second option would just be to bring your head down and clasp your opposite elbows with your hands. And then if it feels okay, also you can let go of your elbows and just relaxing the head. Keep the head down, the head isn't looking up. Okay, so if you'd like to start now, we're going to be in this position for 3 minutes. If at any stage you feel that this is too much for you, please come up. Alba, let your head hang more. Let your head hang. Your head's hanging down. Yeah. Nina, you can also lean on a chair if that feels more accessible. Remember, everybody, we can always lean on a chair if that's possible. Yeah, so we can lean onto our knees, or if it feels comfortable, bringing the chest towards the thighs. And then remember, in this position, we are relaxing the lower back. So it's basically a really nice decompression of the lower back. And so just try to basically dangle, just let yourself go. Let your head hang down, let gravity do your work. You will feel that your hamstrings are being stretched. The quadriceps are working a little bit more. and just enjoy feeling that nice stretch. If at any stage you feel dizzy or it doesn't feel comfortable, if it feels too much, then either sit down or slowly come up. Okay, so we have 1 more minute to go. Just try to relax and enjoy this stretch. Because literally, with the gravity, the vertebrae are being pulled apart. It's a nice decompression for the body, for the back, after sitting or standing all day. I love this position. For example, yesterday I was making something and my back and shoulders were really aching, and I just did this for a minute and it was great relief. So you can try it any time that you have that feeling that you need some relief. It's one of those poses we can use in quite a few different situations. So now put your hands on the floor, open your feet slightly, and then bring yourself down into a squat. And actually what we discovered in this pose last time is that most of you need blocks. So get your blocks and put your blocks underneath your heels. And then find the position that's comfortable for you. If you need to be in a prayer position, so you're going to be like this, or you can bring your head down and put your hands behind your head. So these are the two options. And in this position, so we're going to be here for 3 minutes. And as you can notice, I'm sure you can notice, the back is suspended. So once again, the back is being totally released because there's no pressure. So this is a continuation of the previous pose. If you find you are imbalanced, then try to bring your weight forward a little bit. And just try to relax into the pose and just feel how your body, especially the back, is relaxing like this. So this is a type of pose that is quite challenging for most Westerners, although it's not like this for most people that live in the East, because in the past, the people in the West had the same bone structure as the people in the East, because the bones develop as we do things. And as we started to sit more, so we have lost the capability to squat. So they've actually done studies of bone structure, and the bone structure is actually different now between people in the West and people in the East, which actually makes it easier for people in the East to squat. So it's quite a fascinating thing, but something to be aware of. One of the biggest restrictions that we have in the West, that is we are not used to squatting, basically. But if you can squat, it is useful, and it does help to open up the hips. Okay, so that's it. So let's bring ourselves down, and we're going to move to a very relaxing pose, which is the reclining child's pose. So if you remember that one, lie on your back and bring your legs towards your chest. And we're going to be here for 5 minutes. And you have two alternatives. Either you can stay in the quintessential child's pose, where you just bring your knees to your chest. But if you'd like to work a little bit on opening your hips, open your knees, your toes, your big toes touching, and just bring your knees down a little. And in this way, we're continuing with the child's pose, but this is now the wide-legged child's pose that we sometimes do. So choose the option which feels good for you. And we'll be here for 5 minutes. So of course, for the option where you're bringing your knees towards your chest, this is great to help, for example, if you have any issue with digestion or any pain in your abdomen. This is incredible relief for the internal organs. And of course, for both of the alternatives, we are lying on our back, and that is helping with a nice stretch for the lower back. So it's really neutral, and it's great if you've had any issues with your lower back. This is a really restorative pose. So it's the reclining version of the child's pose, which, as you remember, is the quintessential restorative pose that we use to warm up or to start a sequence, or in between poses when we need to just take a breath or two. It's a moment to come back to ourselves, to connect with our breath. And just starting to feel your body relaxing and opening. And don't forget to keep that connection to the breath. Okay, so slowly let's just move the legs down and slowly rock up into a seated position. Okay, so let's move now to the next position. And with this pose, I'm going to give you two alternatives because I know that some of you find this pose a little bit challenging. So we'll have two options for both. So this is the reclining sleeping swan. So option number one is to move to the reclining sleeping swan. So I bring my right knee forward and the back knee is straight out. And when I have found my position with my pelvis facing forward, I'm going to lean down. I can use a block to sit on. If I sit on a block, this elevates the pelvis and helps me to face the pelvis forward. So this is option one. Some of you may find it's important to have a blanket under your knee. Okay, so that's option one. Option two is the other one, especially if you find it difficult to keep your leg straight, you can have the option of the deer where I bring my right shin parallel to the front of the mat and the left shin is parallel to the side of the mat. So this is called the deer. And then what I can do is I can just twist myself to the right and move down onto a bolster. Always starting first on your elbows. Okay, so what I would suggest is go into the pose that while you're watching it attracts you, because that's what your body is telling you. So just go for what your body tells you. If you're curious, of course, experiment with both. But I would always recommend, if you're watching me and you think, okay, that one looks good, then just go for the one that looks attractive for you. Okay, so let me just show you the two options once again. So option one, I'm from a tabletop position, bring the right knee forward, adjust the pelvis, and then if I have my block or my pillow or whatever I have in front of me, I come down first onto my elbows and then eventually down on the bolster. Option one. And option two, bending the knees like this. And then I'm twisting slightly to the right and then coming down. Okay? So if anyone is not clear, then just let me know by activating your audio. Okay, so make sure you're in a comfortable position because we're going to be here for 5 minutes. And whichever option you've chosen, always come into it slowly, especially with the sleeping swan, because when we are in the the initial pose of the sleeping swan, the position can change slightly as we go down. So then we need to maybe adjust the knee or adjust the foot, so there's not so much pressure on the knee. Always being aware of the knee, because it's one of those joints, one of the more fragile joints in our body that we need to look after. So any stress there, any pain there, we need to adjust always. And so here in the first alternative, which is the sleeping swan, what you should be feeling is a nice stretch in the hip flexors, so the muscles in the back leg that connect the hip to the leg. So there should be you should feel a nice stretch there. And you could also be feeling a nice stretch in the glute muscles of your right leg. And possibly also the groin muscles of your right leg. So this is quite a nice combination for the right and the left leg. Different types of muscles being worked. And then when we're looking at the deer, in the deer we are moving one leg in a different direction to the other. So the leg in the front is in what we call external rotation, and the one at the back is internal rotation, which is a nice pose to do after we've been working on the hips. And because we are moving to the side, there's also a nice bit of twisting. And as we know, twisting is always great to get rid of tension in the spinal column. So with the dangling and the squat, we have been decompressing the spinal column, and in the deer, we are releasing that tension from the spinal column. Okay, so slowly, wherever you are, come up first of all to your elbows, and then push yourself up, and we're just going to move to a position where we can stretch out our legs and relax. So just stretching out and relaxing. Remember, this is the rebound position. Just noticing what they call the rebound, where basically the water in the fascia, which is the connective tissue, is just readjusting, going back to its space. And notice the sensations. Notice perhaps how stretched one leg feels compared to the other one. Notice if you have any warm or cold sensation as well. Okay, right, so let's move to the other side, of course. So once again, if you're doing the sleeping swan, you're going to come to the tabletop position, bring your right knee forward, and then adjust your pelvis if you need to with a block, and then adjusting your knee, your left knee, and then coming down onto the elbows first. And of course, if you're doing the deer, adjusting, bending your knees, and then bringing the bolster to the left, doing a little bit of a twist, and then coming down, first of all, onto your elbows, and then slowly coming onto the bolster. Okay, so once again, also here for 5 minutes. So remember, especially when we are in these reclining poses, there's always the tendency for the mind to go into overdrive and to start what they call the thought factory, where we're starting to think again, worry again. But let's just try to bring to, as soon as we realize, because sometimes we don't even realize that, we're not really present. So as soon as you realize, don't get irritated with yourself. Just bring your awareness gently back to your breath, which is the anchor of the yoga practice. Because it is really such a gratifying experience when you are really there with your breath and you can notice it. Because it's like the practice becomes deeper and your whole being becomes calmer, really. And your mind will thank you for it, because your mind really, all of our minds are always busy so much of the time. It's great to have at least 1 hour or 2 hours a week when the mind also has a break, where it can relax. Okay, so we're going to slowly come up onto the elbows. Move away the bolster. And once again, bringing the legs out in front of us just to relax. This time just for half a minute, because we're going to move into the next pose where we'll be lying on the back. So just noticing any changes you can feel. Does your body feel equalized now after you've done both sides? Do you feel one side is more tense than the other one still? Okay, so let's move now, and we're going to go to one of my favorite poses. It's the happy baby pose. So we have two alternatives. I'm going to show you each one. The first alternative, lying on my back. I'm going to show you with my right leg. So my left leg is bent. I bend my right leg, my left leg, sorry, straight. I bend my right leg. And my right leg, I bring the knee slightly to the side of my chest. It's not on top of my chest, it's to the side, because we're opening up the hip. So this is the first alternative. The second alternative is straightening the leg and bringing the arm on the inside and grabbing the outside of the foot, and then bringing the foot down. Okay, so that's the second alternative. Okay, so experiment, see which one is accessible for you. Sometimes for people it's uncomfortable to get to this position, so I would just hug onto your knee and bring your knee to the side. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed. And if you want to experiment bringing your hand to the outside of your foot, you can either bring it to this side or trying to straighten like this. Okay, we're going to be here for 3 minutes. This is a great, once again, an opener for the hip flexor opener, and also for the hip flexors on your left leg, and also I'm sure you can feel the quadriceps are working as well. So Carla, see if you can straighten your leg a little bit. Yeah, straighten it and see how does that feel. Because you're looking for, yeah, sort of look for the stretch really. See if you can find that stretch. So it's all about looking for what works for you. And so, you know, in this pose, the target area is the hip flexors in your left leg, and then the quadriceps in your right leg, and the opening. You'll feel an opening in the leg that is bent. And if you're feeling those two things, then that's great. That's the target area of this pose. If you have your leg up, then you're working the quadriceps a little bit more. But of course it has to be accessible for you. No pushing, just listening to the body. And now slowly bring that leg down. And we are immediately going to change to the other side. So now bending the left leg and hugging it towards you and then to the side of your chest. Alternative 1. And then alternative 2. Holding on to the outside of your left foot and straightening it, if that's accessible for you. Always listening to your body. And we'll stay here for 3 minutes. And sometimes in these poses, we only feel one area of the target or the objective of the pose, and that's fine. It's all about listening to your body and respecting your body. Now slowly bringing that leg down. And let's just lie here for a minute. Just noticing the sensations on either side of the body. Any tingling or warmth. And now slowly, let's rock up to a seated position. And we're going to move into the Anatasana. And with this option, we have 3 alternatives. So we're going to start, so this is working on the shoulders. So we are going to end this session by working a little bit on the shoulders. So we come to a tabletop position, and remember we have 3 alternatives here. Alternative 1, I bring my head down to the mat with my hands straight out in front of me. Option 2, the hands are the width of the mat because it's pinching my shoulders. And option 3, prayer position with my hands behind my head. Also, if this is uncomfortable for you, you can also come down onto a block. Trying to keep the hips over the knees. We're not like this, and we're not like this. It's actually quite difficult to find that, but sort of try to check it out before you go, and then come down. And adjust yourself. So you can see I'm on a block now. Perhaps that's more accessible for you. If you find it uncomfortable, as I said, opening the arms. Okay, so Alba, come forward a little bit more. Bring your body forward more because you're doing this. Yeah, so bring your body forward more, your hands out, and then your head down. Yeah, so the bum isn't to the back like this. And if you find it uncomfortable to have your arms out, that looks better, Alba. Yeah, that looks like it's more accessible for you. And then Janice, just to remember, this is where you always say to me, should I bring my abdomen in? And yes, this is the moment. So this is the moment because we're giving a really nice stretch to the back. So when we are giving the stretch to the back, it's really nice to feel the abdomen going in. To feel the abdomen going in towards the spinal column. Because then we are allowing that stretch in the back. We're not hanging out and then creating more work for the back. We're actually allowing the back to have that nice stretch. And this is also one of the challenges for when we are in this position, just to keep breathing. So keep your focus on your breath. And of course, noticing that nice stretch. You should all be feeling the target area from your armpit down to your elbow, and perhaps, well, hopefully in your shoulders, feeling a nice stretch in your shoulders and your back. So now slowly bring yourself back to the child's pose. The child's pose with your arms by your side and your head either on the mat or your head on a block. If you have your head on a block, it's more relaxing for your head, for your neck, especially for your neck. We're just going to stay here for a minute just to relax the shoulders and the arms, and just to get the breath back after that nice stretch. And now slowly bring yourself up. And then from here we're going to do a few more stretches for the shoulders, but we're going to do it from this position, from a seated position on top of your heels. If you find it uncomfortable to sit on your heels, then take a block and sit on the block, because this raises your pelvis, and so it's not so uncomfortable. So try whatever option works for you. Also, if you need something under your feet, because some people have sensitive top of their feet, you can also try. I think I can see Sarah's doing that as well. And from here, we're going to go forward. My left arm underneath, and I'm resting my chin, my chest, my cheek onto the mat. So this is really nice because it's a gentler option, because often we do the option like this, but this time we're actually doing it from a seated position. So we have more of a chance to have a nice stretch with the shoulder and not too much pressure on the head. So once again, bringing my hand forward, my right hand forward, and I pass the left arm underneath and bring the cheek down to the mat. Okay, so we'll be here for 3 minutes, and you'll notice that this is a nice twist as well, of course, for the upper back, for the upper body, and once again working on stretching and relaxing the shoulders. And now very slowly, let's bring ourselves up. Let's just rest here for half a minute. Okay, so now let's move to the other side. So bring the left hand forward, the right arm passes through, and I bring my cheek down, relaxing the shoulder. So enjoy the twist. And notice how initially when we go into the position there's a bit of tension. But often with the gravity and the weight of the body, the tension starts to move away. And now slowly curling yourself up again. Okay. So we're going to move to the last pose of today, and this one is the Bananasana, the wonderful one where we stretch everything in the body in a very passive way. So come to a lying position and bring yourself to the left side of the mat, and then bring your right foot out, and then your left foot following, and then shift your torso, keeping the pelvis in the same position, and then bring your arms overhead, clasping the opposite elbows with your hands. If that's uncomfortable for your shoulders, then just leave your hands, your arms in a comfortable position above you, either looking to the same side as your feet or the opposite side. And if later on you feel you want more of a stretch, you can actually cross the right foot over the left. Sorry, the left foot over the right. So the outside foot crosses over. referring to the different target areas of the body. When we talk about twists, we often refer to them as being poses where we're actually stimulating lots of different muscles in the body. So not just the upper body or the lower body or the front body or the back body. We're actually stimulating muscles from all those areas. The exception is usually the groin area. So all the other areas we are feeling in this position. So starting from your ankles to the pelvis, all along your abdomen, right up to your arms. And often when we come into the position, there's quite a lot of tension there. But as we breathe our way into it, the body relaxes and really appreciates the twist. Now slowly moving the leg back to the center. Then we move the torso to the center. Let's just lie here for a minute just to feel the effect of that nice stretch, that nice twist to the spinal column. And now moving to the other side of the mat, so move to the the right side of the mat. My left and right are not very good today. And bringing your left foot out, then your right foot following it, and then moving your shoulders over and your hands coming up. And experiencing that nice twist. A nice, very nice stretch along the whole lateral side of your body. And then if you feel like a little bit more of a stretch, crossing your right ankle over your left. I got it right this time. And relax. And now slowly bringing the legs back, then the shoulders. And now is the time for relaxation, so let's go and get the blankets. Thank you, Jonathan. So grab your blankets and settle down, get a pillow if you need a pillow. Also remember this, when we're doing the relaxation, if you like, you can also bend your knees. That's sometimes people like to bend their knees, and if you have a bolster, you can also put a bolster under your knees, and so that you can relax that area as well. So it depends, yeah, how you feel. Some people like to do that. Some people like to lie with the legs bent as well. Whatever feels good for you, whatever your body is asking you for at this moment. So lying down, either legs bent or legs straight, palms facing upwards. And then let's just check in with the body, shifting the body a little bit just to get to a comfortable position. And then taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And again, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And last time, in through the nose and out through the mouth. So hopefully you're feeling more relaxed after this all over stretch. So let's just start this awareness by moving to the feet. Because the feet, of course, were working actively at the beginning of the practice, especially the ankles and the heels. So just noticing how those areas feel, no lingering tension there. And then moving up the shin area, the calf muscles, and then checking in with the knees, note that they're feeling relaxed and open. And then up the legs, which have a good stretch today. The groin muscles, the glute muscles, the quadriceps, had a good workout. And then of course the hips. Lots of movement for the hips today, lots of opening for the hips. And then slowly moving up the spinal column. Until you reach the shoulders And just bring your attention to relaxing the shoulders and the arms and the wrists and even the hands and the fingers. And feel your chest opening and your diaphragm free of any obstruction, so you can breathe deeply and efficiently. And just feel the relaxation spreading throughout your body. And relax. Okay, so slowly starting to wake up the body, moving fingers and toes, moving ankles and wrists as you feel, whatever you feel like, whatever feels good for you today. And then closing the legs, bringing the arms above the head, give ourselves a nice big stretch. And then bringing the arms down, bending the knees, and letting the knees fall to one side and pushing ourselves into a seated position. Okay, so thank you very much everybody for joining me today. I just had a few questions for, I think first of all for all of you. How did you find the half happy baby?